got my checkbook. I wrote in the check just to get it over with, and we went home and discussed it, and we got several complaints from guests. People called us, they emailed us, they told us the next day or two how awful things were.
I want to see those emails. Just a second, listen to me very carefully, Mr. Mora. I want to see the emails from your guests telling you how awful the bar mitzvah was. This is not what I want. This is not what I want. And this is not what I want, and this is not what I want. Did you understand English? English is, I want to see emails that your guests sent to you the day after the bar mitzvah telling you how horrible the bar mitzvah was. These are letters. These are letters 6 months later that you solicited from people saying, I was present at the Mora bar mitzvah and would like to make some comments about what I observed.
Well,
Listen to me, madam. On your best day, you're not as smart as I am on my worst day.
Alan Herzig says former client Bonnie Moore posed for his DJ services. Bonnie claims Alan did a poor job. She is countersuing for defamation of character.
What I want to see is a guest at a bar mitzvah, because I've been to more bar mitzvahs in my day than you have, and I've made more. I have never had a guest that wrote me a letter or sent me an email telling me how horrible the function was because of the DJ. So when you said to me, I got emails the next day telling me how horrible the function was, that's not true. That's not true. No guest at a Jewish bar mitzvah tells their host and hostess what a terrible time they had. Now, solicited, you can get letters from people telling you that they thought that the DJ was awful. Call a guest and say, I'm going to court, and I want you to tell me, or I'm having a discussion or a dispute with it. Put your hand down. So, nobody wrote you the next day, or 2 days later, or 3 days later, what a terrible time they had at your son's bar mitzvah because of the music.
Your Honor, excuse me.
Don't speak to me yet.
Okay.
So the answer to the question is, you gave him a check the day of the bar mitzvah because you didn't want to create a scene at the bar mitzvah. And then you were talking amongst yourselves. Not because you got emails from anybody the next day, because that's a lie, or the day after that, and you decided to stop payments on the check, right?
Right.
Now, after you stopped payments on the check, Mr. Herzig called you.
Right.
When you called him, what did Mr. Mora tell you?
My wife was unhappy with your performance.
And
we are not paying you, and we don't want to hear from you again. We've dusted our hands of you.
was that the end of the conversation?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have any subsequent conversation with him?
I tried to.
So what did you do, Mr. Herzig? Because that's the second part of their complaint for which they want $4,500.
I sent them eventually I sent them an email. I left messages.
I'm not talking about what you sent to them. They are complaining that you slandered them.
I sent them an email. That was the slander.
He wrote letters to all the religious leaders in the community with this case.
You have copies of the letters? Just a second. Do you have copies of the letters that he sent?
I have one copy with CC's underneath.
Fine, I'd like to see it.
This was registered to me.
Okay.
He also sent a letter to the owner of the Israelite, which is a Jewish paper here in Las Vegas. I have a letter also from...
You carry a picket sign in front of our school, religious school.
Just a second.
Okay.
Is this what you're talking about?
He sent that whole package.
Just a second.
Yes.
This says...
He sent that to Mike, the owner.
Okay. And it says, how about a headline like Bonnie and Paul Morris stiffed their MC DJ?
Yes.
Well, that's what you did.
Okay.
That's what you did.
Okay.
You
I don't think that he
You
should be
listen to me.
telling
You wrote him a check.
the newspaper that.
You listen to me. You wrote him a check, and then you stopped payments on the check. That means he got stiffed. Mr. Herzig says in this letter that he spent substantial time in your house helping you get the picture scanned. Is that true?
He agreed that I told him I just bought the scanner. He agreed to come over and
So
do that. But he just showed me how to do it. I already knew.
Listen to me. The answer is, he came over to your house, which is not contained in this contract, to help you scan the pictures
Well, I
into a
scanned them all.
scanner. Not contained in here. He did it because he was being...
Yes, he was. Very nice to do that, although his price
Fine.
was outrageous to begin with, anyway.
Mrs. Herzog, that's an untruth. He was charging you $1,150 to perform at your event, which included this montage of pictures. And if you're telling me that that's an outrageous price, you should have hired somebody else. I'm telling you, it's not an outrageous price.
Okay.
Well, okay. And I'm still trying to find slander worth slander at all.
I don't think any of my business should be brought to the attention of my four rabbis. He sent it to in the newspaper.
Look, listen, what you think is one thing. He could have been a nice person and not sent it to anybody else. But he chose not to do that. That's not actionable.
Going to the school at checkout time with a poster that says I owe him money, and I have a letter here from the receptionist.
Listen to me.
Did you want to
He has a right. I'm not looking at a letter. He has a right to do that. You do owe him money. That's not libelous. That's something that's untrue. You do owe him money.
Okay. I believe he did a job. I think it was inferior.
Just a second. Then you don't use him again. Let us say that you go out for a meal, Mrs. Mora, with your husband and your family, and you go to a new restaurant, and you eat at the restaurant. You finish everything on your plate, and you get back in your car that evening, and you say, you know, they advertise this restaurant as having the best ribs in town. And the truth is, I don't like those ribs as well as I like the rib guy at the end of the street. So I paid by credit card, and I'm going to cancel my credit card, despite the fact that I ate the ribs, paid the bill, and I didn't like the way the waiter spoke to me, so I'm going to cancel that charge on my credit card. You think you'd get very far, Mrs. Mora? Zero. So if you don't like the restaurant, the next time you're going out for dinner, go someplace else. It's not as if Mr. Herzog didn't show up. It's not as if you got somebody else to play instead of him. You allowed him to start at 5:30, finish at 9:30. I am absolutely 100% positive that people clap to the music, danced if they danced to the music.
They didn't.
Were on the dance floor. Maybe not everybody. Some people were on the dance floor during the course of the event. In any event, you used his services. You ate his ribs. No right to do that. You stiffed him. You stole his money. And then you said, you don't like it? Sue me. Which is what he's doing. He wanted to embarrass you. I assume he embarrassed you. That's too bad. What he was saying is true. He's allowed to embarrass you. Is there anything else you want to say?
Yes, how about he promised me the lighting system, the sound system was bad. I have on tape.
No, madam, I want you to take a look at your contract. And I want you to show me in your contract where it's in the contract.
No, it's
Listen to me. That's what you are bound by.
Okay.
The four corners of the contract. I want you to show me, Miss Mora, in the contract where it says that he's going to supply you with a lighting system.
Well, how about the sound system here?
Listen to me. I said, show me in the contract, in the four corners of the contract, where he says he's going to supply you with a lighting system.
That was my mistake, not having him write it, I guess.
You're absolutely right. What kind of business are you in, sir?
Hotel,
What kind of business in the hotel?
casino.
What do you do in the casino?
I'm a department manager,
You know about contracts?
a little bit.
Good. But you have to explain that to your wife, sir. Anything that's within the four corners of the contract, or what courts consider if you sue him. If you said to me he didn't show up until 7 o'clock, and I find that he didn't show up until 7 o'clock, that means he gets docked. The fact that you didn't like the ribs is, as we say in French, next time you have another bar mitzvah that you're planning, don't use Mr. Herzog. He doesn't want you to use him. They owe you $650.
Yes, ma'am.
judgment for the plaintiff and your counterclaims dismissed. That's all.